Well, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. And once again, it's time to go inside EMS. I am your host, Chris Cebollero. And here he is, all the way from the Empire State, close to Canada. Kelly Grayson, KG, what's going on up there in the northern border?
It's same stuff, different day, man. Getting ready for an EMT class that we're going to be teaching next month. So we're in that stage where we're scrambling to get all the paperwork together and to get the syllabus lined out and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a breath of fresh air for folks in the North Country. This kind of EMT class. So
You
looking
need me to
forward to
come,
it.
you need me to come out of retirement and teach some for you?
Yeah, man, you come by and dazzle them with your brilliance.
Oh, I would do it virtually. I wouldn't really come
Yeah,
by.
I was going to say
Yeah, yeah.
I can't afford to pay you, but anything but food. But go ahead.
If there's, well, food works, so plus I always enjoy being in New York for good pizza. So even if it's
Yeah,
upstate New York, it's better pizza than in St. Louis.
true.
Yeah.
Pretty much anywhere is better pizzas in St. Louis. You can get great barbecue in St. Louis, but pizza, you got to come to Connecticut or New York or New Jersey, I think.
You really can. I mean, one of the things, when I was in Texas, there was amazing barbecue in Texas. I mean, and you couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting a good barbecue joint,
Yeah,
right? When I came to St. Louis, I was interested in, I always heard about barbecue, but they use a dry rub here. They don't use a wet,
yeah,
saucy rub, right? And I just can't get into that flavor. I think Kansas City, they use more of a wet style of preparation. But I've
yeah.
never I've never truly been impressed with the quality of the barbecue here in St. Louis compared to Texas. So I think in Texas you get way better barbecue. And those people are fanatics about their barbecue. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
science when they do the
yeah,
things that they're doing. And, I remember the first time I smoked a brisket. First off, I needed really big papers to roll it.
yeah.
You see what I did there?
Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
thanks for catching up.
Texas.
It took you a minute. But anyway, I mean, I had to learn how to, get the charcoal ready and then, when to put on wet wood
Yeah,
and then when to
get a
add
good
new
bark on the
chips.
on the
And
brisket.
oh my gosh, it's just like a science, man.
Well, see, Texas barbecue is blasphemy to the rest of the barbecue world because they're barbecuing primarily beef. But me, I don't particularly care if it's blasphemy. It's great.
That's right. Amen. Kelly, as we think about the show this week, I've been doing a lot of work outside of EMS, helping folks understand the AI transition. And everywhere, every place we look, it seems that more and more AI is starting to pop up. And we have to now start thinking about, where does this fit into the EMS world? And one of the things I've been trying to learn how to do is build AI agents. And an AI agent is basically kind of backed up with a chat GPT, style of platform, but I can
Yeah,
make it specific to what I need. So one of the things that I've been working on is learning how to build those AI agents, which is really, for someone with no skill in this area,
yeah,
it really blows. Number two is, I actually wrote an ebook of how people can build AI agents. And number three is, we need to now start to think about being anticipatory in where EMS can utilize this tool, how we could utilize this tool to make our work a little bit different. So as I was going through this week and finishing up some things for a client, you know, one of the things that I realized was artificial intelligence isn't coming. We keep hearing, but it's
it's
here.
already here. Yeah.
And it's changing how our business operates, how our decisions get made, and how people expect to be served. And certainly in EMS, we're not serving, but we're certainly serving our workforce, but it's the care that they give. But the question for us isn't in how is EMS going to do that? Are we ready? Are we ready for this? Or are we going to be left behind? And I think right now we're going to be left behind. One of the things, Kelly, that I think is a challenge in EMS is we've always waited for someone else to dictate to us um, what we need to do, ERs and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But now we have the opportunity to be anticipatory to say, if we had a virtual assistant, what would that look like for us?
Yeah, I for one welcome our new AI overlords, and when Skynet kills the rest of the world, I hope that I'm one of the ones spared, one of the useful humans. But yeah, I mean, are we about to get left behind? That's the real question. AI is shaking up things everywhere, from finance to fast food. Companies are finding a way to use EMS. You know that on the eastern sea, on the west coast, where they're hiking up the minimum wage for fast food workers. They're starting to the backlash from that is they're starting to use more and more kiosks, and there are no job for those fast food workers now. It's here. But in EMS, we're still figuring out how to use it. What it's going to be? Is it a tool that we can really rely on, or just another shiny object? So I'd like to talk where all this is headed, because I'm not, I use AI in writing some of my scenarios, but other people are writing their narratives and stuff with it, and that just it gives me the creeps.
Um, well, I didn't know that. So let's just touch on that really quick. I don't want to gloss over
Yeah,
that. So I don't really use AI yet, right? So I'm
yeah,
trying to do this AI agent, and what I'm doing with the AI agent is to build an app, and I'm putting all the policies and procedures in it for the company. I'm putting the protocols in it. I'm putting procedure manuals in it. I'm putting I said policies already. And the purpose of the AI agent is going to be, hey, what's the protocol for CHF? Or what's the policy on, holiday, whatever. And then people are going to be able to have their AI agent pop up to say, this is the answer for that. But I've never utilized it really yet. But one of the things you said is you're using it for scenarios.
hmm
And how is that working for you? I mean, so maybe take us through that process of what that looks like and how that helps you in your approach to, training the next generation.
Well, for me, it's still a work in progress with coming up with the right prompts, and that's the problem that many newbies to AI have, is how to phrase your requests so that the language learning model can do what you ask it to do. There are a lot of growing pains at first, but with uh, I'll set the parameters. Write me a BLS scenario for a patient with congestive heart failure, and refine it from there. You get your basic stuff, and it'll give you something that you don't want, or something totally off the wall. But if you refine it and refine your prompts with each iteration of it, within just a little bit, it'll come up with a credible scenario for you. And but you have to watch what it says, and that's why I'm not particularly scared about AI taking over the world right now, and that we're building Skynet as we speak, because it could still come up with some crazy stuff.
Oh, does it really?
Um,
Yeah. But you're happy with the product that you're getting, though. I mean,
yeah,
you're
with my
able to use.
scenarios, I
Yeah.
really don't. I'm not going to use it for narratives. I've been playing around with it. I find some. Nancy uses it all the time to organize her thoughts. If she said, "I want a chart," or I want a list, or an outline for such and such," it's great. She uses that because she is Miss ADHD, and getting that level of detail drives her crazy. She
Yeah.
can do it well with Chat GPT or one of the other AI clients. For me, I'm still just using it
On the
for the
fringe.
scenarios.
Yeah.
Everything else, I asked Chat GPT to write me a passage about zombies in the style of Stephen Kelly Grayson. And what it came up with was both concerning and hilarious. It doesn't do a good job of uh, mimicking my writing style, but it is a good window into what I'd write if I was on hallucinogens.
That's
So
funny. So one of the reasons that I'm on this path is I've been seeing so many things that AI is starting to look at. And we think about this from a big picture side. Business are using AI to automate the things that eat up a lot of our time.
yeah,
You're able to have it go into your email, you're able to have it to send email. It does scheduling, it does logistics, it does customer service. These AI bots, they're just amazing when they're connected. And certainly, we're starting to see banks and airlines using AI chatbots when we sign into there. One of the things that I thought was very interesting that I did some research on this week was an inspector in a boatyard was going through, and I guess at every single stage of building this ship, and I guess it was like a cargo ship or something, you have to have the inspector come in and look at all the whatever.
yeah,
But what he was doing was he was wearing these glasses that allowed him to see what he was looking at, but then click a button and it showed him what it looked like when it was built out.
Wow.
So this way he was able now to picture what this was, but how it fit into this bigger picture that hadn't even been built yet. And he was able to give feedback based on that. But, when we start to think about this from the standpoint of where this can go, it does get to be kind of scary. I mean, we've got cars that are driving themselves, and that's an
Mhm.
artificial intelligence program, right? So now when we think about EMS, um, we may be behind the power curve. And I do want to touch on the narratives here in a second, because there is something that I was talking to a colleague of mine about that may be a little bit um, interesting for the future, but I'm going to save that for a little bit till we get into the discussion of EMS.
Yeah, and you mentioned that the automating the things that eat up time. That's what Nancy uses it for primarily, is the stuff that she's not a detail oriented person. She's a big thinker. And when she has to do detailed stuff, she uses AI for that, and it works great. But there's a bigger picture, as you mentioned. It's not just the customer facing stuff that we're seeing AI used for, not just the customer interface, direct customer interface with these different businesses. They're using AI to automate, or they're using AI to make decisions in the boardroom. They're forecasting financial pictures and that sort of thing. Warehouses are run better with predictive tech. These people are used to this now. It's become a tool for them that they expect instant and accurate service from. And that cultural shift is going to touch EMS too, because the public won't separate us from the rest of the service industry.
Yeah, and so if we think about healthcare now, I think we're starting to see a lot of different changes. Healthcare is already ahead of us. Hospitals are using AI for things like they're able to read X-rays, and I don't know that I trust that yet, or CAT scans,
No.
predict patient service surges in the ED. And that may be one of the things that we need to start to think about. Are hospitals able to predict when they're going to have an influx of patients? Well, that's one of the things that I think we need to be able to consider. But from an EMS side, I'd really like to be able to delve into the fact of how we can anticipate what we need and create it before it's kind of shoved down our throats to use tools like we always have that are pushed down on us from hospitals or the ER. But I think it opens up a Pandora's box to find a can of worms for us, Kelly.
Yeah, it does. I think the big issue that people have with AI, their fear is it's going to start doing our thinking for us rather than help us with everyday tasks. And to me, that's a legitimate fear. I fear that as well, because if there's one thing that accurately describes human beings, is most of us are intellectually lazy. So anything that we could do, we could have somebody else do for us, we'll do. Um, but the AI impact is not just on the payer side. These insurance companies could start requiring AI supported documentation for reimbursement. And I can't think of a more horrible way to do things than allow AI documentation for reimbursement. It's already bad enough that insurance companies primarily make their money by denying the care that you're paying for. And doctors and physicians have to go through so many different hoops. And people at the insurance companies are basically practicing medicine without a license. But if that sort of thing trickles down to EMS, us requiring an AI documentation for CMS reimbursement, for example, we're going to have to get it right. Because if you don't chart it, you don't get paid. You think it's hard phrasing your narrative and clicking the right check boxes to get CMS reimbursement. Imagine what it would be like if you had an AI bot looking for things for you to get right. Yeah.
Yeah, but don't you think that that's going to lead us to do better in our charting? Here's the thing about charting that I wanted to touch on is when we think about how we're doing our charting today, it's a whole bunch of boxes, it's little narrative, but really it's this timestamp, so on and so forth. How about this? I was talking to a friend of mine who's a cardiologist, and he just put a system into his clinic that listens to him when he goes into the patient's room and develops the chart for him. Now, think about that from an EMS side. We have this ability, whether it's on our clothing, whether it's on our body cams, whether it's in the back of the ambulance, that now I say to a patient, all right, so what's your name? What's your age? Tell me about it. And now it's capturing that discussion. I have a AI transcribing tool in my Teams account that allows the conversations to be picked up, and it's pretty accurate. But now, how about if we're going through and we're saying, I'm going to start an IV, and I'm going to start an IV in your right arm. Have you ever had an IV before? I'm going to use an 18 gauge, blah, blah, blah. And it's capturing all these things. Now,
Yeah,
instead of me writing a chart, all I'm doing is going back and reading it to make sure that it's as accurate as it can be. I do
yeah.
think that there's going to be some value there and actually some time saving if we can find the tool that allows us to chart, that allows it to be coded based on, this is a ALS call, this is a BLS call. But more importantly, Kelly, I think with that talking mechanism, doesn't it create overall better patient care? Because you're having to now verbalize things that we may not be verbalizing in the back of the ambulance.
Yeah, I think so. And you mentioned that verbalizing things we don't normally verbalize. The I learned long ago that one of the tricks to the choreography of a smooth call is to think out loud and to talk your way through everything that you do. Um, uh, it's interesting thinking about narrating that for the purpose of an AI client to write your chart as you go. That's I kind of like that idea. I know of people who use AI to write their narratives, and it's a good thing for them because they absolutely suck at documentation. And if a machine can do it better than them, yay for it. I don't trust it to write things that I didn't say or to make logical leaps that I didn't make. Um, I've used AI enough to know that when you stump the AI client, it will make stuff up. So
Oh,
I
really?
still don't. What now?
It makes it up?
Yes, it makes it up. If you ask it to write scientific papers or whatever, it will either quote studies that do not support what it says, or it'll make studies up entirely. And that's why you can't trust it yet because it's not mature enough in that where it doesn't just make stuff up. What I could see about it changing the way we do. If I had an AI client that could take every checkbox for medical history, everything that I write in the patient's history and the patient's medications, and determine if there were medication interactions or if there was something about their medications or their past medical history that might be germane to the patient's current chief complaint, help me figure out what might be going on. I would welcome that. But there's other things that AI could really do well. Dispatch, triage. That's pretty low hanging fruit that AI client could solve for us. I absolutely hate uh, medical priority dispatch algorithms because they rarely send the right level of people.
I
And
disagree
and
with you. I disagree with that, but go
I
ahead.
well I okay. It might be a reflection of how long you've been out of the field and how long I've been
Whatever.
uh, uh, tortured by this. But I think that AI could probably do a better job of that triage than a human call taker, and that alone could change survival rates in my eyes.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. One of the things that I was thinking about, and I don't know that I like it, is what if it can tell you, what if AI, again, when you're talking, I don't know how it would work, but give you differential diagnosis. Consider this, or,
That's what I was kind of talking about.
well, I didn't get that from you because I thought your answer was kind of
Well, I
weird.
phrased it poorly. Maybe AI could do it better.
Maybe you need an AI partner then and let them be your co-host. Um, but you know what? I mean, from that standpoint, when we start to think about, consider, you know, this abdominal pain in this 50-year-old overweight female with diabetes could actually be an MI, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what that would look like, but is there that opportunity if somebody is on a medication that the medication picks up. Somebody tells me they're on, whatever it is, Levsin or whatever, and then it tells me I don't know what Levsin is, and I could say pull up Levsin, and
For
I'm able
gas.
to, huh?
It's for gas.
Yeah. But I think that there's a lot of things that it could do for us. I think you talked about predictive deployment as well. How do I get to where I need to be?
Yeah.
And think about it. We've got Waze now that we're using, and a lot of people are using Google Maps now to get from point A to point B, or it's in the dispatch system. If AI knows the hotspots on traffic events,
Hmm.
bad weather, units could be staged until it's time for them to be, dispatched. Or even we used to use the predictive model of 20 weeks of predicting demand for the next 20 weeks of where
Yeah.
things should be staged. How fast can that be done now with AI? I mean, Kelly, when we open this door of where AI can touch EMS directly, I think there's a lot of places that this can go.
Yeah, I think so. And predictive deployment is an interesting potential there. I can see where AI would do a better job than systemic sadomasochism for predictive deployment. That's the whole purpose of SSM in the first place. Is trying to put the right number of units, the right number of plays for expected call volume, and it does it poorly. I do think that AI could probably automate that process a little better and make some better predictions. Um, the thing is, though, is I think AI helping auto draft our PCRs based on those audio recordings, like we were talking about, freeing up those crews to actually care for patients could be possibly a good thing.
Yeah.
There's a there's always or there's already an ambulance service that is using a smart speaker in that regard. And our smart tech like Alexa and Siri and all that are basically AI clients
Yeah,
that
yeah.
interact with us directly. We state our prompts rather than write them down. But Brewster Ambulance, I remember a few years back, Brewster Ambulance in Massachusetts, I think, has all their protocols and all their drug dosages on Alexa. So they'll ask a smart speaker in their ambulance, Alexa, what's the dose for calcium gluconate, or whatever? Or Alexa, what's the next step in such and such protocol, and
Right.
it can do that for them. Because they had protocols that were several hundred pages, which, ignoring the fact that no protocol should be several hundred pages, I think an AI client could work well in that regard. It could be clinical support, prompts for sepsis screening, stroke triage, medication dosage, like I already mentioned. Those are useful things where we could, I tell people all the time when I teach ACLS classes, I don't really focus on the algorithms. I think the algorithms is something you should know before you come to a class, uh, because algorithms are intention. Their intention is not for you to memorize them, is there for you a reference tool for you to look when things are not clear or when you're worried about the next step. All the good stuff in advanced cardiac life support is not on the algorithm, and that's what I use in teaching. But so many people think that spend so much time and intellectual effort to memorizing trivia when they could get a machine to memorize the trivia, and then they use that big brain of theirs to do critical thinking and clinical problem solving and that sort of thing. I think AI could really help us there to help us memorize or to provide all that trivia that we spend so much time, waste so much time memorizing, and do that for us.
Yeah. And that's where I think that EMS needs to be anticipatory now. When we
Yeah.
sit down and we look at what the future could be, we're reactive. We need to really start to think about, I think we've given a lot of things that we could use it for, clinical prompts and, routing and charting. But as you mentioned, which kind of raises an eyebrow, does it give a false confidence? Where's the
Yeah.
accountability? And who's going to be on the hook when we make these mistakes, Kelly, And I think as we're getting up there in time, here's my take. If AI helps us to move faster and allows us to be sharper and allows us to be more patient focused, I'm interested if it doesn't become another distraction. I don't want it to make things easy for us where we're giving less care, We've gotten to a point where we're not verbalizing to our patients about the things that we're doing. We know that the
Yeah.
new workforce is having
Yeah.
some challenges when it comes to communication. And this is the phone, this is the phone generation where they spend time now on their phone more than learning their communication skills. Does this enter into that process? I don't know. But as I mentioned in the beginning of this, I think if we're going to use some type of charting, where AI could actually develop our chart, I think we're going to have to talk to the patients more. So it's capturing all those things. But, this is an interesting concept, Kelly, and I'd be interested in your final thought as we get ready to move along for the week.
I think it's like any technology. It can make our lives easier. It's also something we can abuse. As an educator, it's already a problem with AI being so prevalent and so common out there. That our students don't write their own papers anymore, and you have to spend extra time making sure that they do that. We're trying to stimulate intellectual rigor and have people learn to think critically and to weigh evidence and that sort of thing. And what they'll do is they'll take your assignment and they'll feed it to an AI client and have it write a paper for them. That's the wrong way, and that's going to that's going to create, in my mind, the folks from idiocracy. Eventually we'll get to where we can't think for ourselves. But if we use it for the things that we don't need to think about, that we just need to memorize, I think it's a good thing. And I think that if we utilize AI more, it could help us in our jobs. But like anything, double-edged sword. But you've heard what I think about it. You've heard what Chris thinks about it. We'd like to hear what you think about it. Does AI pose a benefit for your EMS system, and how are you utilizing it? Or why are you afraid of using AI in any fashion? We'd love to hear those thoughts at the show at ems1.com. And for myself and co-host Chris Cebollero, is just an AI avatar that doesn't really exist. Thanks for tuning in to Inside EMS, and we'll catch you guys next week.